Welcome English students, and thank you for taking a look at the first video for body paragraphs and a rhetorical analysis. In this video we're going to go over the overview of a body paragraph, the topic sentence, and the quotes. There'll be a second video that goes over the rest of the body paragraphs. So let's start off with the overview. Your paragraph is going to have 5 different parts. Not 5 sentences, but 5 different parts. You're going to have a topic sentence, and in that topic sentence, you're going to state the specific rhetorical strategy. You're going to have a quote, and that means you're going to quote or summarize the strategy that's stated above. And we'll go over that in a little bit. You're going to explain the how, the why, and then you're going to tie back to the thesis. Now, I just want to touch on something briefly. You'll notice that I talk a lot faster than maybe you can write, or that you can get notes down in your notebook, or you can work on your own paper. Now, if I'm going too fast, luckily we have the magic of technology where you can pause it. My suggestion would be that you have your note paper out and you have the essay that you're working on out, so you can write your paragraph right along with me. When you have questions, I ask that you pause and write the specific question down so that you can bring me that question and we can go over it together. That really helps. When students come in and they say, I don't get how to do a body paragraph, I really want to know what part of the body paragraph don't you get. That helps me help you get to your solution a little bit faster. So now that we have that clear and you know that you can pause anytime you want, let's move on to what we're going to cover today. So like I said, we're going to cover 2 parts today, the topic sentence and the quote. So we're going to start off with the topic sentence because that is the very first thing I want to see in each of your body paragraphs. So topic sentence. Topic sentence should be one sentence that explains what you will be discussing in the paragraph. That sentence should include the author's last name, the rhetorical strategy or description of a strategy, and the intended audience. Now, a couple things that hang students up. They wonder, why just the author's last name? Now, if you remember in your introductory paragraph, I had you give me the author's full name. For the rest of the paper, you're going to use just the author's last name. You don't have to say Mr. Franklin or Ms. Smith or Sir. You just need to say Franklin, Smith, Eisenhower. Whoever you're analyzing, just give the last name. If anyone has a question, they can simply go back to your introductory paragraph and see the author's full name. The reason being is it gets a little bit redundant hearing the author's full name. And please, never, never call the author by just their first name. That can be insulting. If you are analyzing a company, you're going to state the company's name. And then let's say you're doing Kentucky Fried Chicken. You wouldn't just go the rest of your essay saying chicken, chicken, chicken. You might shorten it to KFC, or you'd say Kentucky Fried Chicken. But we're not going to take off the Kentucky Fried and just call them chicken, because that doesn't really make sense. All right, and then my other little tip for you is when you state the audience, you need to make sure that you give them a name. Don't call them you. Don't call them the audience. If they're Americans, categorize them as Americans. If it's males or females, or if it's children, if it's the elderly, if it is voters, you need to have decided in your introductory paragraph who the audience is, and then I want you to refer to them by that name throughout the rest of your paper so that it's really clear that you understand and that I understand that the rhetorical strategy was chosen for that specific audience. Let's look at an example. Or actually, first before we look at an example, let's look at a little fill in the blank for those students that need it. You could use this fill in the blank. The author's last name uses rhetorical strategy to persuade intended audience. So I want to show you an example, but before we do that, we need to both become familiar with a piece of rhetoric. The piece of rhetoric we're going to look at for our entire body paragraph is called The Dance by Garth Brooks, and it's a song. You are welcome to YouTube it. I personally enjoy this song. It's country, so if that is not your style, you do not have to listen to the entire song, but I would ask that you go ahead and pause the video, read the lyrics on the left, and then create yourself an AP square. So go ahead and pause right now and take the time to do that practice. It will help you in the long run. Now that you've finished your practice, let's go ahead and compare what you've done to what I've done. So I've actually left out the center of my AP square, and we'll look at part of what I've done later, but let's go over what I have on the outside. So for persona, I put country singer. For time period, 1989, 1990, and if you wanted to know that, yes, you would have had to look it up. Garth Brooks at that time had celebrity status. Some people say he still does. I think he still does. And there are people out there that are playing it safe. Hopefully you have more of a historical background on your AP square. Maybe you looked up some of the history that goes along with the song. That would be perfect there. For the argument, you might have something that says losing someone is painful, but the time together is worth the pain, and the audience is Americans. So now that we have our AP square, or the basics of our AP square, let's go ahead and see what that looks like plugged in to our topic sentence. But before we do that, and this is why we're recording it, the magic of technology, I can just say, whoop, go back. Let's talk about one thing I would put in the middle of my AP square. So if you notice on the left that those song lyrics, they're an extended metaphor, and the metaphor is the dance. So he's not actually talking about a dance, he's referring to life. So one of the things in the center of my AP square would be an extended metaphor. So keep that in mind as we look at the topic sentence. All right, so remember that topic sentence formula or sentence starter I gave you? Let's plug in our information. Brooks uses an extended metaphor to persuade Americans. So it's simple, it's direct, it's to the point, it works. So let's look at quotes now. So when you're quoting the text, you need to quote sorry, I'm fumbling around with my words this evening. When you are quoting the text, you need to quote the strategy that's discussed in the topic sentence. A lot of times, students will say something as an extended metaphor, and they'll quote a simile, or they'll say something as repetition, and they will quote a metaphor. Quoting different things. When you do that, you are going to get marked way down. If you don't know the name of a rhetorical strategy, it's okay in that topic sentence to describe it. You can just explain what you are seeing. That is perfectly fine, because you have to quote what you're going to talk about. And so if you don't have a name for what you're going to talk about, go ahead and describe it. The quote has to match what you said in your topic sentence. Your quote should not be more than 1 or 2 sentences. You want to keep it short and to the point. Sometimes it might be 3 sentences. And lastly, you want to introduce the quote. So I have an example for you down below from The Dance by Garth Brooks. In the chorus of the song, he says, "Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance." It's a little bit hard. I want to sing, but I won't, just for you. So if we put those 2 examples together, we get this. Brooks uses an extended metaphor to persuade Americans. In the chorus of the song, he says, "Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance." Now, that is the first two parts of a body paragraph. I want you to keep this in mind. You should have a minimum of 3 body paragraphs in your paper. So when you are writing this, you know that you're going to be following this formula over and over again. Once you start scoring higher on your papers, you're going to start breaking away from this formula and keeping the content there, but your writing style is going to improve. So keep that in mind. Don't worry if it sounds a little bit redundant right now. Once you start getting meetings on your paper, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to push your style forward. But right now we're working on the content. And the content for most students in this type of paper is new and different, and it is a growing experience. So we're stepping outside of our comfort zone. And a lot of times when we're trying something new, we're not perfect at it. And I know that. And I expect that people aren't going to be perfect at it, and that's okay. And that's why we're going to spend most of first semester working on rhetorical analysis. By the time our AP test comes, you're going to think that you're a pro at this, and you will be a pro at it because we have done it so many times. And I just want to say again, thank you for stopping by my website and checking out this video and trying to improve your writing. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to see me in class or at one of the after-school help sessions.